Thank you, Madam Chair. And Dr. Esselman, I'm sure that you recognized I was probably going to start with you, but anyway.
Thank you.
The thing that, and I know you spent a lot of time in this area and thinking about it, but the needs of industry today compared to the future, and this technology that we're discussing today is changing so fast because of quantum computing and that sort of thing. So I guess, in other words, how do you feel or how do you see Ivy Tech balancing that need for today and then in the future? Kind of give us some feel what you think that might look like.
Very good. So actually, 3 years ago, the General Assembly in Indiana understood how important it would be that we would be workforce aligned as a system, and actually required that in addition to having a provost, I have a chief workforce officer, which makes sure this alignment happens. So I alluded in my comments to this way that we classify all of our programs, because we know it's a moving target. We know that there is BLS and MZ and other good data out there economically to project the future. We know that broadly, but it's not accurate at the local level. So we take that and we let the local industry work with us to look at what's coming, what is the real demand, and then we size our programs on every campus, every program to be that right size. And that's where our quadrants, that quadrant one is where we focus. It is those high demand, low supply, not enough students to fill that work, and making sure we're building those programs. We have limited enrollment programs that we have to push on. We have programs that have to shrink so that they are the right size or maybe discontinue, and then finally equilibrium. That work is working. It is working across our state. We can take the local data to understand that what maybe the economic data is not quite accurate to what the local needs are, and we can shore up and we can shrink, and we do that in a very rapid way. What becomes challenging is the support at the federal level to get those kind of programs when you need new programs stood up, to quickly stand those up in 3 to 6 months so that an employer gets the kind of skill set that they need. And so we look to any support we can get with our US DOE to quickly approve programs. But as I shared, looking at new ways to anticipate when we know these changes are coming and we know there's a higher demand, how do we identify that employee at risk early, even if it is just a year or a year and a half in advance? We can then begin skilling before that individual is out of a job, unemployed, which is for many much more than just about being out of a job. It is psychological impact. It is a feeling that a trust has been broken with that employer. So how do we proactively work with them? And whether we use unemployment insurance as a part of that trigger, we need to change that mindset to create that contract again between employer and employee. And I believe the community colleges, at least Ivy Tech, is working very hard to get there. But I know we will be the front lines for most of employers as they look to scale up their employees. And it's our job to be as rapid as we can.
So thank you. Dr. Lupia, we're glad to hear you came from a farm, and I couldn't help but say, several of you mentioned the importance of the human factor. I think you mentioned that. But I just want you to know that those old cows have a vested interest in how well these artificial things are. But anyway, I thought maybe you might want to elaborate. You know, I've been fascinated by NSF's convergence accelerators since Director Cordova spoke about them this committee in May. Would you mind elaborating on how this new approach to research will improve our understanding of the future work and enhance the lives of the American workers?
Absolutely, sir. Thank you for asking that question. The convergence accelerators really build on the traditional NSF approach. So in NSF, we fund all of science. But the idea with the convergence accelerators is from the beginning, you bring in other partners, people in the room who, if great ideas emerge, they can bring them to market. So the convergence accelerators have really been an exciting way to think about how to take amazing collaborations and bring them to market. So I'll give you one example because we just started funding these things. One has to do with reskilling the workforce, and it is funded coincidentally at Purdue University, and it focuses on apprenticeships. So both of my grandparents were in the trades, and the way that you've learned a trade for 100 years is through an apprenticeship. So that takes a number of months, and you follow somebody around and you learn the trade. But for a small company, it's really expensive to take one of your workers and have them do an apprentice for 6 months. So one of the convergence accelerators is a project built around using technology to do apprenticeships at scale. So imagine we could take what a master plumber knows, or a master technician, or someone who runs a computer, and we can follow them around and then create scalable, low-cost ways to distribute this information to everybody. And one of the ways you can do that is through having simulations, right? So instead of one person shadowing the expert, you can build a simulation where 50 people can have a virtual reality experience of shadowing the expert. And so it has a lot of the benefits of the traditional apprenticeship, and of course you still need the one-to-one contact, but this is a way to really make that happen at scale. And again, if you're a small company, if you can go to community college or somewhere else and get this type of training, it's a real game changer. So the idea here is apprenticeship, lower costs, improves speed and reliability, minimizes errors, and this is something that the Convergence Accelerator, I think, can really do to help companies across the country.
Thank you.